Hello everyone! Welcome back to Friday with Dannphan for 4th of July. So, you know, dressed accordingly. I got the blue lights in the back, although maybe red is better. I'm not sure which is better, blue or red. I guess blue kind of just looks better considering most of the background is like brown, so you gotta get a contrasting color for that. Makes sense, right? So, how's everybody doing this wonderful 4th of July? Hope everyone's doing good. We don't really have plans, you know, me and Adam, for 4th of July. I think we'll just kind of chill and then maybe watch the fireworks at night. I've already gone on 2 walks today. I think I might go on a third. Oh, it's so nice. It's so nice when the weather is beautiful outside. And it's beautiful weather, which is really good because last night it was raining. God, how many times do I talk about rain on these Friday streams? I'm so sorry. This must be like the most boring conversation ever. But no, I don't get to go outside very often because it's always raining, so I need to enjoy it as much as I can. I need that vitamin D. That's what gives me the energy. Alright guys, so it's been a pretty good week for me. I uploaded the part 2 of the Real or Fake, only it was a read-through with Melee James. That was really fun. I'm surprised that video got more view. Well, maybe I'm not that surprised because I think the thumbnail was better. But the read-through video for Avengers Academy that we did with Melee James, that got more views than the Real or Fake video. Maybe I should redo the thumbnail for that or something. I don't really... I know that it's kind of a messy thumbnail. I knew it when I made the thumbnail. Yeah, you know what? I'll make a slight adjustment. Just a slight adjustment, and I think it'll be a better thumbnail. I got an idea. But yes, so the Real or Fake video is very good though. Trust me, don't let the thumbnail fool you. It's a very good video. And the read-through was also very funny, of course. So if you haven't checked out my latest and greatest videos, yes, go check them out. I know YouTube punishes you for not uploading consistently. I know that I'm being punished for not uploading consistently. So just keep that in mind. You know, if you're not seeing my videos, it's not because I'm not uploading. Chances are it's just because YouTube is punishing me. You know, just trying to keep me in line. It's like I'm their employee, because I guess I kinda am? I don't know. It's more like freelance work, if anything. Just stop by to say hi. You're hysterical. Okay, thanks, bye. Well, thank you. Happy 4th of July. And thank you, Mark Schaefer, already dropping your 20. New Jersey was fun. The weather was nice. Can't wait for Reaper 2. Can recommend going to the New Jersey Comic Con. Yes, Garden State Comic Fest, for those of you who don't know. I think that will probably be like a yearly usual thing that we go to, because it is a ton of fun. We get to connect with a bunch of cool people there. Lots of indie artists there, especially lots of indie comic people there. Ugh, there was even a panel. There was a panel for kickstarting your comic, your own indie comic there, with Billy Tucci and a couple other guys. I forget the rest of them. I'm sorry. It's not because of any ill will. I just forget things. I went to the panel. Gotta be honest. Didn't get a lot out of it, but that's okay. I think it was more of a, I don't know, maybe more of a panel for people who need to get motivated to just get up and make their comic, to know that it is possible to get an audience and crowdfund it, but kind of only like half of the panel was about the crowdfunding a comic part, and then the rest of it, people were just asking questions on their opinion on some current comics. So it kind of derailed a bit. But that's okay. I did enjoy Garden State Comic Fest. Oh, man. I swear I always mix up the words whenever I'm trying to talk about that Comic Fest. But no, it's very good. We also did Anime Fest, which is run by the same people, also in Garden State, of course. And they have another one coming up in November that's going to be at a new comic thing, a new location in Vineland. If I'm not pronouncing the name of the area right, do not blame me. Adam also didn't know, like, what is the correct pronunciation of the area, and he's lived here all his life. I just got here, so don't blame me for this one. But, yeah, I'm pretty sure it's Vineland. It's another comic fest that they're planning to do there. So we were thinking maybe we should also sign up for that one, but we're a little bit undecided, because we also have one more con that's planned for this year, and that'll be it for the year, and that is BasedCon, which we went to last year. And part of the reason, not that you're gonna make bank at BasedCon necessarily, but part of the reason that we liked BasedCon so much is because there were so many people there who were genuine readers, like really avid readers, read a lot of books. And especially when you're selling books, not just comic books, but also, of course, the novels, that is very important to get to those people. And yeah, it was really great talking to a lot of people there. So we will go back and hopefully make some money there as well. Although we don't have as many new books to bring. I think the only new book that we're actually bringing is Sonic City Witch. But that's something. It's better than nothing, right? So I think that'll be good. Okay, we also met Brian. What's up? Enjoying Reaper so far. Can't wait to read the rest of it once I get a chance. Absolutely. Glad that you're enjoying it so far. Oh my goodness. It has been a trip. Oh man. I hope people are patient. I'm getting the book done at like a pace. It's not as fast of a pace as I wanted it to be though, honestly. Sometimes I do get worried that I'm biting off more than I can chew, and that is probably most definitely the case with Reaper Book 2, because it did end up longer than I intended it to be, and it might end up even longer still, because I'm thinking about the last 2 chapters. I think the first half of Reaper's like super solid. Reaper Book 2, sorry. First half of Reaper, the Beasts and Men, super solid. Like, killer intro. Adam thinks it's even a much better intro than all of Book 1. I don't know if that's an insult or not. He says that it's not an insult, but it's, it's like, ah. Anyway, very solid first half of Reaper Book 2. The second half is the one that I'm a little bit flaky on. Like, the first half of the climax fight is very good. And then there's some things I'm a little, like a couple flashback sequences that I feel like are not hitting. They're not hitting as well as they need to be. And I might be doing some, like, last-minute rewrites in that regard. And I think it's fine to have those rewrites in mind while still working on the pages that I can work on and finishing up what I can do right now. Especially because there's a lot of redrawing involved in general. The drafts that I did were super loose. And of course, I'm also still learning art and getting better at art. So there are certain structural things about the drafts that are not quite right that I have to, like, redraw to make sure that I understand how the body is supposed to be moving in this panel, or so on and so forth. But yeah, it's been all great. I'd love to actually just spend the entire live stream talking about comics. There's so much to talk about when it comes to indie comics and stuff like that, man. And, well, really, I always love talking about comics. But a lot of people really want me to talk about the TV shows and the movies or the anime. And I get it, because I guess, for lack of a better word, I guess that's a little bit more of the mainstream stuff that's getting produced. Like, not everybody's reading the same comics, not everybody is reading the same manga, but a lot of people will watch whatever popular anime is out, or whatever new Marvel movie or show is out. Even if they're not watching it, they're listening to the videos and, like, laughing at it. Like Ironheart, right? Everybody's laughing at that show right now, and I get it. It's a... Sorry, was that super loud? I've been doing YouTube for how long? I still can't figure out my wires. But yeah. And hey, thanks again, Mark. Bought a lot of books, $375 worth. Got to nerd out. Well, I hope you enjoy all the books that you bought. There were a lot of great indie comic people there. Even just the people we were sitting next to. I had heard about them before. Didn't really get the chance to talk with them. It was a little bit awkward because they brought I think their kids with them. I'm like 80% sure it was their kids, right? And their kids were really the ones sitting next to us, but the parents who were actually doing the comics were all the way over there. So it's like I would have to project my voice a bit to actually talk to the people who were at the table. But they did the comic Wraith and Pain. And I had seen this comic floating around on social media. The wife stopped by and said, like, hi to me every morning, but, like, as soon as they sat down, you know, they were, like, all the way over there, and their kids were the one next to us. And I'm not gonna talk to their kids, I'm not a creep, but, you know. Yeah. From what I understand, I think Wraith and Pain is supposed to be kind of like penance, where the more pain that he has, the like more superpower he gets. I think that's the idea. So I heard someone else, I think Adam actually, I heard someone else explain it to me like this is a BDSM comic. But the art was fantastic, right? It was great art, I'll give it that. It was very, very high quality superhero looking art. So, you know, it is what it is. But yeah, a lot of indie comics people. But absolutely. It would have been awesome to be there. Well, there will be other conventions in the future, of course. I gotta maybe look up some new ones to check out in the future. See if I can spread out a bit. I don't know, I don't even know when, like, the actual move is gonna happen, but we gotta get out of this state at some point. Not that it's super urgent, but at some point we gotta get out of this state, you know? Just saying. Gotta get out of here. Preferably, you know, quicker. But when that does happen, you know, I also gotta factor in, like, how long is it gonna take to make these drives to still go to these conventions? Because I would still want to go to these conventions even if I was living in another state, and even if it wasn't convenient to go to them. Because they are good. They are good, and there's cool people who go to them, and it's good vibes, I guess. I've listened to, like, some of these other Artist Alley people who do rankings of conventions that they've gone to, and one of the things that they use to rank the convention is the vibes. Good vibes, which I guess kind of just means that they like a lot of the people there, or they like the other artists who get a table there. I'm not 100% sure, but I kind of get it. It's like, yeah, I get good vibes from these couple conventions we went to. So maybe I do get it. But yeah. So I guess what is going on in indie comics right now. I actually just did a poll recently because I thought that this was kind of an interesting topic. And maybe you guys have your own opinion on this, but what's the longest you're willing to wait to get an indie comic from a campaign you've backed? That's the latest and greatest poll from X. From X for me. And if you want to go ahead and vote yourself into that poll, first of all, follow me on X. You gotta do it, because I have the best posts. I have the best posts on there. It has been confirmed that my posts are the greatest on that platform. So, first and foremost, follow me on there. Second of all, go ahead and contribute your vote into the poll. What is the longest you're willing to wait to get an indie comic from a campaign you've backed? I think this is an interesting topic because a lot of people have like kind of conflicting views on this, right? And I get it. For one, you know, you're not doing... most of the people who are doing these comic campaigns are not doing comics full-time. And they're certainly not going to be working on this comic full-time. It's very rare that they're actually going to make enough to work on this one comic full-time. They're going to have a side job, they're going to have to be taking freelance jobs, or whatever the heck they're doing, right? And some artists are also very slow. It happens. But then there are these other people who will be mismanaging their funds or mismanaging the campaign and taking much longer for really no excuse. And I think that can be really frustrating. So, let's see. I didn't vote on it, but really it depends on who's writing and what's going on. Sure, it depends. I think if you have a longer page count, it's kind of just expected for you to take longer. I think if you have full color pages, it should be just generally expected for it to take longer, especially if you're just doing it all on yourself. I mean, if you have multiple people on, right, you can kind of make it work like an assembly line and be more time efficient. You do the inks, someone else does the coloring, someone else does the lettering, and you pass on one page at a time amongst each other. You can get comics done much faster that way, but it is also more costly to do comics that way because you have to hire all of those individual people to actually work on the comic. So it's a little bit tricky. The question becomes, do you want to take more time but save money, or do you want to take less time but spend more money via this campaign? And hey, welcome Melee Games. That creator better get me the comic by the time I'm on my deathbed. Fair enough. Let's see what Twitter says, I guess. Right now we got 42 votes on this. So maybe we need more votes to get a clear answer. But for the most part, majority of people say a year is the longest they're going to wait to get an indie comic from a campaign they backed. As the second vote goes to a few months. Now, I have completed campaigns in less than a year. It is possible. But the campaigns that I've completed in less than a year are also like fairly short, always black and white. Horizon Quest was almost already done by the time I completed this one. And, you know, I'm sure I don't have to say it, but I'll say the quiet part out loud, right? Artistically, it was not 100% of my power. Not quite yet. I've been learning a lot more when it comes to art, of course. I still think it's cute. Even if it's not like 100% what I want my art to look like. It's still a cute comic. I will not bash it too hard. Especially because it's a labor of love that me and Adam worked on together. And I think that accounts for a lot. But yes, this was already started, like roughly halfway done its inking process. when we started doing the campaign for that, and we were able to finish it within a few months. Reaper Book 1. Another black and white one. Another one that is, you know, maybe not as, maybe not the most artistically sound, but it's a step up from what we got in Horizon Quest, so I'll consider it a win. This was lengthier, right? We went from 60 pages to over 100 pages. I believe it was 108 altogether. This was completed within the year, but, you know, just like kinda barely. It was just like just a year, I think, until I was ready to actually have this printed. And it was already like, there was already a big portion of this done. Maybe not halfway, but I don't know, like 25%, 30, 40% kind of done when I was campaigning for it. Reaper Book 2, on the other hand, a little bit more complicated. That's, it's gonna be maybe, yeah, probably over 200 pages. And right now, I've got 2 out of 6 chapters done. So, yeah. I did let everybody know ahead of time that book was going to take longer than Reaper Book 1. But it's probably going to be just a little over a year. The time that I'm, like, suspecting I'll actually be done drawing it alone is by the end of this year. But it's probably not going to be fulfilled until next year. So, a little over the time that I'd like, right? But you get it. That's just generally what my experience with, like, the length of what it takes to get the comics done. And, you know, like I said, the more people you have on board, the more of the book that you already have done. A lot of these are contributing factors as to whether or not it's going to get done faster. And part of it has to do with, you know, like, what time frame, what plan works for you, the campaign person, personally. If you don't have a lot of time to be working on the comic and you want to get it done as quick as you can, then you're going to need to factor in the cost of hiring someone else to help you. Whether that be like the lettering, the inking, I don't know, backgrounds. There are some people who just straight up hire a different artist to do the backgrounds. That sounds fantastic, quite honestly. Backgrounds are very difficult, and it takes a lot of knowledge of perspective to do right, at the very least. But yeah, almost, not everyone, but almost every manga artist in particular, they always got a different artist for the backgrounds. Because it really does help them get it done quicker, and that's a very important thing in manga and doing mangas, getting it done quick and making sure that it's high quality. But you know, unless there's consistent transparency on the development and there are serious reasons as to why a book is taking long to finish, I get that. Like, if something happens that is absolutely not your fault and could not have been a predicted delay, that makes sense, right? Like, if the printer just isn't getting back to you on where your books are, or if some horrible accident has caused your books to light on fire, just like USPS crashed into a ravine, it's not really your fault, right? But yeah, like an artist dealing with health problems, I totally get that. I get that for sure. You're good, just don't follow George Hard R. Martin's release schedule and people will be happy. Fair enough. I'm completely convinced that he just doesn't want to finish the books. He doesn't want to finish it. He doesn't want the backlash. I get it. but also gay. All factors weighed, you're progressing at an ever-increasing rate of output, but more importantly, also quality of artwork DP. Well, thank you. Yeah, I'm doing my best. To some degree, I think the fact that I've tried to get out so many comics, and instead of like focusing on practicing just the art portion of making comics, maybe that has held me back. Part of me also feels like, as much as YouTube has helped me get an audience and get people to buy my comics, doing the YouTube as consistently as YouTube wants me to do it all the time, maybe that has held me back. Maybe that is taking up time that I could be using to actually practice and get better at art. And I'm trying to make time for everything. In general, I'm doing my best to make time for everything. Set aside time to practice getting good at art. Set aside time to do work on the comic. Set aside time to do YouTube and do these weekly live streams. Set aside time to do the conventions, which are fun, so it's not that much of a sacrifice to do that. But oh boy, sometimes it does feel like you're biting off a lot more than you can chew. Absolutely. Now, another thing that's getting passed around is this idea of doing one-shots, right? So the big thing, let me share screen. Chad Townsend saying, I think indie comics guys should focus on one-shots. Great way to get more ideas out and see what sticks. It'll help you find your audience. Should be treated as fun, not precious. Now that's kind of the idea that I went on when I was first getting into doing indie comics. I was doing a bunch of different one-shots. So I can, to some extent, get behind this because the hardest time that I had actually getting into doing comics was when I was trying to do a series. Every single time that I was trying to do a series as like my first comic thing, it would always collapse. Something was always not working, not going well. And finally, when I was able to kind of get my ducks in a row, when I was able to focus on this self-contained story that was only like 30 pages max to do, that's when things fell into place. That's when things got a little easier. So a lot of people think that they need to go head first and immediately just put out a banger series. Yeah, just put out a big successful series. It's so easy, right guys? But no. It's easier on you, and it's easier to get an audience when you're starting off with one-shots. It really is. Now, does that mean that you should only do one-shots for the rest of your life? I would say no. I would say you build up. You build up to doing your passion project. And if your passion project is a series, you're building up to that. You know what I mean? So, that was my version, at least, of like building up to this. But even without Reaper, I'm still going to be doing one-shots because I kind of have a lot of stories that I'd like to tell. I know, it's a very writer thing to say. It's such a fucking writer thing to say. I have so many great ideas that I gotta get out into the world. But it's true. It is true. I do. Alright, so what was mine? My retweet was one-shots are great. Tragically, though, most people who read them ask me, when's the sequel coming out? I have had that asked quite a bit. Oh, man. Everyone who picks up Horizon Quest, and it's not like getting a job will kill you, consistently they ask when's the next one coming out. They're like, okay, that was great, I love it. When's the next one coming out? There wasn't supposed to be a next one. That was it. But to some extent, I think it is the greatest compliment, right? As this Daniel was saying down here, it is the greatest compliment because it goes to show that you did a really good job with that self-contained story. I mean, when you do a one-shot and nobody remembers the characters, nobody remembers the plot really well, it's usually a sign that you did a bad job. You didn't make something that was memorable. You didn't make something that was worth becoming a series. And I do like doing these open-ended one-shots. I kind of think about them like I'm writing pilots, you know? Like I'm writing pilots to a show or something. Something that can be sold with just this self-contained story. It's its own story, but you can see the potential of it becoming something future. I like to approach all of my comics in a way where even if they are supposed to be a series, I want them all to have a beginning, middle, and end. I don't like it when I read an issue into a comic series and there's nothing there, nothing happens. And people will say, no, you gotta read like 20 more issues and then it gets good. And then the real stuff happens, you know? And it's like, man, you're spending like 30 pages and you can't do a proper setup. You can't do something interesting in this issue to sell me on the rest of the series. It's like you're holding the good stuff for ransom over here. I gotta buy 20 more issues to get to the good stuff. That's not gonna work. It's not gonna work for anybody. Not with manga, not with comics. You bring the good stuff first. That's what I say. Oh, hey there, Blacklight Jack. It's been a while. Hope you're doing well. Yeah. What are the comics saying? What about a mini-series, limited series? I mean, you could think of those kind of like one-shots. Hey, you want to grab a chair?
Sure.
Adam wants to stop by and say hello. Yeah, I mean, like, Sonic City Witch was kind of like a mini-series. There we go. It was always meant to be a one-shot, but it is kind of like, the way I approached it was kind of like a mini-series, where I divided the story into multiple chapters, and then I released it as one book officially. But I released all of the separate chapters digitally first. So those were kind of like the previews into what to expect for the one-shot story. Those are fine. I think if it's going to be your first thing though, I would not recommend doing that. I would recommend doing something shorter, like 30 pages or less. If it's your first comic that you're ever doing and you're doing a one-shot, gotta do something short. You don't bite off more than you can chew like I do, for sure. Oh, thank you, Alley Cat. Alley Cat is giving you the green dot.
Oh.
So you can get exclusive access into the green room. Yeah.
People still remember that?
I guess so. It's a good story. Funny story. Alright. So, wish everybody happy 4th of July. Huh?
Yeah, happy 4th of July.
Hope you're all doing well.
Yeah, thank you, Alley Cat.
Yeah. For those of you who don't know, and there was this story at this convention where Adam got kicked out of the green room because he didn't have a green dot, despite the fact that he had been told by everybody else that it was totally okay for artists who are doing tables to go into there and get some food.
So I went there when there was no one there, right? It was just a person at the front desk, and I was like, oh, hey, I'm like an artist alley or whatever. She's like, oh, yeah, just go in. Everything's for you guys.
Right.
And so I go in, I get some water bottles. I like leave, I talk to them, I was like, man, nobody told us about this. She's like, oh, that's so weird. You're supposed to know. So I go back and I tell people like, And then
The guy across from us knew, and we knew only because another artist who like followed the channel told us.
yeah, and then I went back with the guy who told us about it, and then we passed this like just puddle of or I passed this like puddle of like Tumblr artists where they're like all kind of, you know, dressed up and like have tails and stuff, right? There's like 20 of them like around the security desk hanging out. I like, you know, security desk person is like, oh hi, you know, she looks at my ID and she's like, oh yeah, great. And I go in and then I go to the bathroom first and then I come out and then the green Power Ranger has arrived or whatever, or
Sure.
some other Power Ranger, and they're like, oh look, it's a Power Ranger, and I don't know who these people are, and I'm like, I just like go and I'm looking at the food and it all kind of looks bad, so I kind of, but like I know Trisha's hungry, so I'm like I should take something back, but it's like Italian food that's just like been out all day and like a thing, and it's
soggy lasagna and everything.
yeah, it just doesn't look good, so I'm like, oh, what am I gonna do? And then this like lady, it's like older lady with like the kind of lady who wears like a pantsuit, like kind of looks like Hillary Clinton but like more blonde and like a saggier face.
Sure.
She points at me with her big long like witch nails, and then she doesn't even look. And then this black lady comes over and is like, oh, can I? It's like, oh, sorry, you're not. And I was like, no, I'm a
nurse.
I'm an exhibitor, and I show her the thing, and she's like, oh, but can I see the other side? I was like, oh, okay. I turn it around, and she's like, yeah, no, you don't have the green dot, so it's like, what are you talking about?
Yeah.
She's like, oh, I'm sorry, you're gonna have to leave, and I was like, yeah, but who do I talk to? What are you talking about? How do I get this dot on my ID? And she like says some guy, so then I go...
Yeah, she, like, instructed you to go talk to the manager or something.
Yeah, like the guy who organizes it. And then I talked to that guy. And he, like, gave me this whole... I can't even remember his, like...
He was very weird about it.
Yeah, he was very weird, and he's very, very rude. And he pretended that, like, oh, he has other people in charge. And so it's not his fault or whatever. And I was like... and he wouldn't give me a straight answer. I was like... So am I supposed to... So I was like... Am I supposed to have the green dot?
Yeah.
And then he's like, he won't tell me any information about it. He's like, why do you need to know about the green dot?
Who are you?
Oh yeah, he's like, and who are you? Like he like flips out like at some point. But I was saying like, yeah, another artist told me. He's like, an artist went into the green room, and I was like, yeah. And he's like, okay, well, some artists, you know, not. And I was like, so is it just the people that like drew on the name tag, or like the big name artists, or the featured artists, or whatever? And like he wouldn't. He was like, some people. Oh, you know, it's not up to me. He's the organizer of the whole con. He doesn't have anyone that is his boss. And when I told, what the fuck is he talking about? He organizes the con. It's him. What is his boss? What is he talking about? Like, you know.
It's somebody else's fault. Trust me. There's somebody else.
But then I was looking at other people's like name tags the rest of the day, and like the famous people don't have it, right? They don't have any green dots.
Yeah.
I didn't see anyone with a green dot.
Like, you know, the artist like across from us was like, yeah, I was told to go into the green room. I didn't get a green dot or anything.
Yeah. And then later, someone nearby, like I think diagonal from us, it was very crowded, so I don't know who exactly it was. It's this girl. She goes, "What the fuck is a green dot?" I was like, okay, so they started just like kicking people out for not having green dots? Like,
yeah, there was some sort of miscommunication or something going on there. Obviously, he was a little bit,
hey,
who are you to ask about the green dot?
Melee Games is in the chat.
Yes, he is. You just tell them you were a putty in Power Rangers.
What is a putty?
I don't know. I have information that will lead to the arrest of the convention pantsuit lady. First, Hey, Ray Dillon, happy 4th of July.
Hey, happy 4th of July.
And thank you, Mark, for the 10. Adam, looking forward to your book.
Ooh.
Also, thank you for the Amazon bag. Not sure if that was a handout for customers, but it helped. Thank you. Long story short, if you go to a con, bring a big bag. You know it. That's part of the reason why we decided to start bringing those bags with us, is because everybody kind of needs a bag. And, you know, it's nice to be the table that can give them one.
Yeah. Yeah, it wasn't... it was, like, kind of a planned thing. We figured that we should have them in case people need them. But they're just, like, Amazon bags. Like the...
Yeah, we always have a shitload of Amazon bags. We'll never run out.
Yeah, like, my aunt gets all of her groceries from, like, Whole Foods, like, delivery or whatever. So she has, like, this giant stockpile of those bags. Because they can't give disposable bags anymore. Every single time they deliver, at no cost, they deliver it with, like, everything in reusable Amazon bags.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, she has so many, she's like, please, take them all. However many you need. So, if you ever need reusable Amazon bags, you'll get them at our table. We are the people to go to. Alley Cat says, you have to ridicule the bureaucratic systems in the world, and your story reminds me of something that Monty Python would put into a sketch. It really does feel like that, doesn't it? Because it's just so ridiculous. But it was a thing, and we haven't gone back to that convention since, just because it was such a weird experience. Yeah. Nothing else was wrong about the convention. Everything else was kind of fine, right?
Yeah, it was
like, wasn't that like our first one?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, for our first one, we didn't do that bad. We didn't even have like a really good table setup or anything, but like...
We'd done a lot of fairs before that, but that was the first, like, convention.
Yeah, something really, like, official, you know. But it was a weird first experience, I'll give it that.
Yeah, it was so weird.
We weren't expecting some green dot controversy.
Because there was a pile of Tumblr people who definitely did not have a green dot. They were all eating the catered food out of, like, plastic plates and whatever.
Yeah, you said they looked like they were just, like, people attending, but not actually, like, exhibiting.
I think they were actually exhibiting. They were just not near us, but they were all like drawing furry art and stuff.
Oh,
you know?
okay.
So it's like,
I mean, that makes sense with the tails.
So I wouldn't have seen them and been like, this is an executive. They have the green dot, but like none of them were checked. You know, like they all look
just
like
friends.
They all look like almost homeless, like mall rats, but they're allowed in. They're sitting around the security desk. It's like.
Yeah, sure. Let's see. Melee Game says, I will one day show you the glory that is Power Rangers, so you understand the putty comments.
My brother...
I watched it when I was a kid. I don't remember much about it, though.
Yeah, my brother watched Power Rangers, but before I even was, like, conscious as, like, a person. Because I don't remember him ever enjoying Power Rangers or anything. We were, like, in Disney World, and there was, like, some catastrophe had happened with, like, using the bus or something. Or, you know what I think it was? I think my mom just liked to wander around resorts we weren't staying in, because, like, it's... Because, I don't know. She just likes to walk around, and they're, like, pleasant enough places to walk around. It is kind of fun to just explore some, like, place. And, like, in Disney, no one's going to be like, do you have the green dot? So...
That would be crazy.
Yeah, so we were walking around some resort, I don't even remember which one, but at their bus stop, they have Power Rangers playing. On loop, they have Power Rangers on several TVs with no, like, commercials. It's just Power Rangers. So when we were waiting there, I was like, what is this? Because I hadn't seen Power Rangers. And my brother was like, stupid. It's Power Rangers, obviously.
Obviously, Power Rangers, yeah.
And I was like... How are they gonna win? The villain just got gigantic. There's no way. And like, my brother's like, idiot. Stupid. It's simple. They'll just grow to the same size. Obviously.
They'll use the power of friendship.
Yeah. But like I don't ever remember my brother watching Power Rangers. But in the basement, I was going through like the spools of 3D printing stuff, and there's this like umbrella thing like with all like wrapping paper. And then also in there is like a gazillion Power Ranger swords, and I'm like uncovering like these lost artifacts.
Right.
You know, I'm like, what is this?
Oh my god, that's brilliant. But yeah. So the power of giant robots, yeah, essentially. The best episodes is when the Rangers get bigger before the villain and they just one-shot him. Yeah, it's like, why not just always do that?
You might like that the Red Ranger in Another World. There's an isekai where the Red Power Ranger goes to another world.
The first season's good. I then later read the manga and it was not as good, tragically.
Yeah. It's like the execution is pretty like mediocre, but
yeah, it's pretty okay.
A lot of like the concepts that they're going for are pretty entertaining.
Yeah. You see potential for it to be very good.
Yeah.
And I think that's kind of what along for the ride.
Yeah, there's a bunch of really funny things. Like later on, they imply that like all sorts of other universes are getting isekai'd because they have someone that's like.
It's also just universes that sell toys.
Yeah,
as their main thing.
Yeah, so you have someone who's got like basically looks like the Millennium Puzzle from Yu-Gi-Oh.
Yes.
And then how they're using their powers. They like cut into like a kind of CG animation of like slotting in a thing into it. So it looks like a toy they're trying to sell, but this toy doesn't exist. It's just like.
It's very funny.
And then, so and then there's also like, there's some episode where it's implied that like two of the characters had sex or whatever, or like.
Something happened.
Yeah, like something happened, right? And then the other character's like, oh, I know what happened. You guys, and then they cuts from her voice actor to this like really like loud voiceover.
Yeah, like
it
this
goes
fake censorship.
Yeah, it's like fake censorship. It goes into like it's like this voiceover goes Bond merger, like
as though it's like saying from a toy.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's very funny.
Yeah.
But yeah, there was like a lot of potential for that to be much better. So it's a shame that I don't really feel like the manga holds up. But the first season of the anime was pretty promising. I'll give it that. And I enjoyed that for what that was. But I don't know. I might finish the manga just to see how it ends. Because it already kind of seems like it's heading towards the end. Like it got canceled or something and they're just trying to rush through an ending. But yeah, I probably won't be checking out the second season though.
Yeah, I'd say that's probably safe. Yeah.
If season, they implied that they were going for a second season, but their like teaser at the end of the last season episode was something that has not been followed up on at all in the manga. So I almost wonder if they're just dropping that plot point completely because they got canceled and they have to finish up the series quicker.
Yeah, and if you guys don't know, Trisha's reading speed is kind of like in like old school D&D, you'd have a whole spell tome full, and then you touch your hand on it, and all the words would disappear and like absorb into your brain. That's kind of how Trisha reads. She read all of Berserk in a week.
Well, yeah.
So,
you know, Berserk is not as long as people think it is. It's like a lot of it is pretty pictures. Let's be honest here, and rape, but. Like, it's not like One Piece where there's, like, shitloads of dialogue and repetitive, and it's, like, over 1,000 chapters. It's not like that. Berserk has been on, like, a consistent hiatus every year where it's like, okay, we release 3 chapters every year. Or maybe they release a volume every year, but it feels like it's only 3 chapters every year.
Yeah.
So, like, you know, it's not weekly. It's not a whole lot to actually catch up to it. And then once you do catch up to it, it's like, oh god, now I'll never know what happens because I have to wait another year for 3 chapters to come out.
You know there's like mangas where they have like tons and tons and tons of text? I feel like...
Oh, is a good example of that.
Yeah, in the grimdark future...
it'll just turn back into novels.
QR codes. Extend the bubbles.
Yes! There you
longer.
go! Just keep on getting longer and longer word bubbles. That's the pro strat.
One of the comics. So I went around and talked to the other artists at the other tables. Something which nobody really did at that last convention we did. Like, basically no artists, like, came by, or writers or anyone came by to, like, check out what we had. They were just...
There was a couple people.
Yeah, there were other exhibitors, but, like...
Not as many, like, artists making connections, I guess.
The people that I went around to see had not come around to our table.
Okay, sure.
But one of them, he was selling this comic, and one of the gimmicks was that it was partially based on his friend's story in Iraq, like being a reporter. Mm-hmm. And so he has QR codes in the environment and the pictures that you can scan, and then it'll bring you to a video from, like, his, like, war footage.
Oh.
And he's like, and my friend lost his eye because he got shot in the head with an RPG, so that's in there.
I don't want to see that, though.
I mean, I do. But I didn't buy it.
Oh, you don't want to see his friend get shot with an RPG?
Well, I think part of it was I came over to the table being like, because he has this, like, Roman stuff all over the cover, and so I was thinking, like, oh, sick, ancient Rome comic. I'll gauge how much he likes ancient Rome and, like, flip through it to see if he's, like, has some forced diversity in Rome, and then it's like, okay, he's based.
Everyone Roman is gay.
Yeah.
Thing in there.
And then I was gonna grab it. And he starts talking about, like, war and stuff, because I guess he, like, pegged me as, like, yeah, you like
pegged, huh?
You like Call of Duty, right? And I was like, I don't know. Like, he was just he was telling me about, like, war stuff, and I was expecting to talk about, like, Roman stuff, so I was like, whatever.
Yeah.
It seemed like he was more into the war stuff, like the gun stuff, than Roman stuff. I was like...
I gotta say, a lot of the time when people try to pull, like, that move on me, where they're like, oh, you seem like you like this type of story type thing, they're almost always wrong. Mm-hmm. Maybe you guys just shouldn't be taking these wide swings like that. I mean, I guess when you're right, it seems like, oh, you know everything about me. Oh, I gotta buy your book right now. But, like, most of the time, you're just gonna be wrong.
I've made some swings and been right.
You're better at, like, picking up on vibes.
Yeah.
So I can kind of get that with you being, like, able to hit the mark. But, like, for a lot of people, they're not hitting the mark at all. They're really, like, oh, God. The stories. But... Yeah. Don't take super wide swings, guys.
There was one... There's one comic, like, because I was going around different tables. So one guy, and, like, you know, no offense to this guy, I'm sure some people are into this, but he was like, would you like to read a story about a monster hunter with a drinking problem? And I look over at, like, the art, and it's a girl, and I'm like, do I want to read a story about an alcoholic girl? Like, it's like, no. I was like, I shook my head. I was
she's like Tank Girl. And he's like, I don't know what that is.
Yeah, I don't know. Trisha told me later. I'm like, oh, fuck no. But,
yeah, he has no idea who Tank Girl was.
But yeah, he was like, oh, can I tell you about it? And I was like, sure, yeah, no, because I don't want to be, because I do want to hear his pitch so I can get better at pitching, right?
Yeah.
But it's not, I'm not, like, gonna buy probably based off that. And he's like, so she has an art history degree, and I was like, no.
That's a red flag.
I'm not reading about some fucking art ho, like art ho slang.
Liberal arts college. You've already been there.
You
don't want to go back.
First of all, no one with that degree looks like that girl looks.
Oh, thank you for the 5, Mark. I must have sucker written across my head. Yeah, well, you know the thing about me especially, I don't really like being sold to. I'm, like, the worst customer. Because, like, the more aggressive someone is towards me and trying to sell me something, the more I want to run away from them and never talk to them again. I prefer natural, genuine conversations. Call me crazy, but I don't like the sales pitch. Yeah. And I know that it works on most people. I'm just a little bit odd, I suppose. But there's nothing more repulsive to me than someone really trying hard to sell me something. Sorry. Just don't try to sell me things at a con, I guess.
Yeah, if you try hard to sell me, I will not buy your product out of spite. Oh, and happy 4th of July.
Oh, yes, of course. Happy 4th of July to Melee Games.
Yeah, so, well, so
Yeah, you seem like the type of person who likes Sailor Moon. You're a girl. Oh, God. Especially with Adam, when we first started dating, the only anime that he knew that I liked was, like, One Piece. So he would tell everybody for, like, years that I really liked One Piece. And everyone would get me, like, Chopper merch and stuff like that. And I hate Chopper. It's just people assume, oh yes, you like the talking animal character. You're a girl.
Are you talking about, like, the Secret Santa?
Yeah, well, that's one example, I guess. But, it's just... No, I usually don't like talking animal characters unless they are actually good characters. Call me crazy.
I hate all talking animal characters.
Yeah.
Someone tried to sell me a comic with the talking animal, and I was like...
It's even worse when, like, the artist kind of knows that it's a bad character, and so they purposefully make them ugly just to, like, spite whatever executive told them to put that in.
Yeah.
Yeah, no thanks, I already have a drinking problem.
Yeah.
Yeah, if you try to sell me, I will not buy your product out of spite. Yeah, I think you already read that one, but I just read it again.
Well, I don't know. Some people, like, when you're more aggressive with them, it makes them feel, like, wanted. It makes them feel, like, valued.
Like,
so
I need you. Stay with us. So
then they'll be more likely to buy. But it depends on the person. Like, you don't want to bother people.
Yeah.
Also, all the comic pitches, I was like polite, like listen to the whole thing and everything. But yeah, I just hate talking animals. I think there's.
No, I get it.
He was like, "Do you like weird comics?" And I was like, "I mean,
no."
Not really. He's like, "Oh, can I tell you about mine?" I was like, "Yeah, sure." And it was like, it's a mix between Rocket Raccoon and Invasion of the Body Snatchers. I was like, I don't know.
Yeah. I also hate it when people open up explaining their comic by saying, like, it's like this other property.
They tell you to do that, though.
No. I mean, like,
that's the advice everyone gives.
After you have summarized the actual plot, maybe you can do that to relate to something. But I want to know what it's about first. I don't want to just hear, like, oh, it's kind of like these other properties you've heard of. I'd rather hear the plot first.
It's like such like classic advice. All the videos I've seen on like how to pitch your any kind of product, they're like, you want to compare it to two things, even if it's not really like those two things, to give them like a place to start, and then you start going into detail. I don't really think...
I've heard very much the opposite from some indie publishers out there who say you shouldn't do that, and that'll turn people off from your submission.
I mean, I don't think that it's a good idea, but that advice is out there. Like, that's... And
yeah.
I've heard that...
there's a lot of advice given from people who have no idea what the fuck they're doing.
Yeah.
And are just writing articles to get clicks.
But, like, I've even heard the advice from people who are, like... They're the people who go through the slush pile at like a publisher. Like even there, like you need to start it with it's like this and this. Like I don't really think that's good advice.
I don't think so. No.
There was one person where it made a lot of sense. They said it was a combination of Indiana Jones and Doctor Strange. And so that sounds
okay.
interesting.
I can kind of imagine that.
Yeah, so he's hunting down magic artifacts like Indiana Jones.
I don't know what Rocket Raccoon and Invasion of the Body Snatchers looks like. This such like odd IP to like smash together.
The guy with the Rocket Raccoon pitch, he should have been like, "Do you like titties?" Because he has like porn like on the table.
Oh yeah, like, you did tell me that.
So there's a groundhog as one character, and then the other character is this like busty redhead, right? And he has like the naked pictures of her. Like he has they're censored because like that's illegal to just do that.
Yeah, of course.
But he's selling like naked pictures of her. Like he has the nude variants of each of the prints, like on the table.
Right, and they just have like tape over them or something.
Yeah. There's like a little white dot over the nipples. But like as I was like talking to him, I was flipping through the art book, and then I'm like, oh, and then I was like, flip the other page. It's like, oh, again. Oh,
no.
Nowhere to hide.
Yeah.
And his like girlfriend was like looking at me. I was like, "What are you? Don't look at me like I'm weird. This is here. I'm just opening. I just opened the book. How would I know?"
Oh man.
But I don't know. I'm sure there are people that are like gonna be super into that as like a comic. I know a lot of people like Rocket Raccoon. I've never read the comics. I just saw the movie. So who am I?
Yeah, that's how game pitches go in AAA industry. You just have to say, it's this meets this. I believe that, yeah. Some were really good. Those are the ones I bought. Review to follow someday. Well, there you go, guys.
Yeah.
More than one sentence is too much. I've also heard that you gotta, like, really pitch it concisely, which is difficult to do depending on, like, what the comic actually is, because there are some more plots that tend to be a little bit more complicated.
Yeah, you mean you should keep talking to the person. Like you shouldn't just like
you shouldn't just end.
There are people that
if
when
they're interested, keep going.
There are people that when their pitch runs out, they just stop talking like a toy that's run out of like, and they're just and it's like, all right, I guess I'll leave.
Occasional pauses to give someone the opportunity to say something back is like fine. But yeah, you don't want to just have any moments of pure silence that last more than a couple seconds.
Yeah.
That's kind of the worst.
Some people have really tight pitches too.
I don't have any tight pitches.
The guy selling the Indiana Jones and Doctor Strange thing, theirs sucked.
No, his pitch sucked?
Yeah, his pitch was bad.
That's kind of surprising.
The concept was really strong, but I was going to them the very first person in the day, and so I was glad because.
So you're getting a really authentic raw pitch, yeah.
So they were like not, and it's before it opened too, because I'm just like another exhibitor walking around. So like I'm glad to like help them like,
practice,
smooth it out, and then we talked about like comics and stuff. They were super cool, but yeah, I mean, I also, but again, I'm like the first person showing up. They're like tired and just woke up. It's like
one thing that I kind of regret about our table. I don't really have one thing to do a pitch for. We have multiple things that we're trying to do pitches for. We do limit ring to the conventions. Yeah. I do like leave out certain comics. But still, it's still always a lot because we got to run through like this books and these books.
Yeah.
And I guess it does help us do much quicker pitches, but probably not as strong pitches, Yeah,
because if you're selling someone on just one big IP that you have that's just like super solid, it's so much easier. And
it's gotta be easier, yeah.
Yeah, going up to tables where like people have that one IP, it's like one character and then they have multiple issues, their pitches are so much stronger.
Oh yeah. And it's also like it's kind of really good to have one series and the multiple issues just for that series, because if you sell them on just the one plot, they'll want to buy like multiple of the books. Whereas if you have multiple different books and you sell them on just the one plot, they're only going to buy that one book.
Yeah.
So you have more potential to make a sale with a series than you would with just a single one shot. Oh, I gotta get more books ready with the Reaper series so I can put multiple books out for that.
Like, people really like Horizon Quest, but they'll come back and be like, do you have a sequel for this?
Oh, it's that happens all the time. I was talking about that on the live stream earlier before you came on.
Some people will buy my book, which is Aces, but some people will just be like, well, you should make a sequel. And
because, like, part of the reason why I was talking about it is because, there it is. Because people were talking about indie comics should just do one-shots, right? And I was saying, tragically, though, most people who read them ask, when's the sequel coming out? And, that's the whole idea, is that it's just that one thing.
Yeah.
And then they're saying, well, that's the best compliment a one-shot can get. And yeah, that is true. It does mean that you executed that one-shot very well enough that people could see it being a series, whereas a lot of other one-shots, maybe your characters are forgettable, the story is forgettable, and they can't really see it continuing.
Yeah, that would drive me crazy when people would, like, read my short stories and then be like, oh, there should be more. And it's like, motherfucker, we're both in a short story writing class. You know that the assignment is to write a short story. You don't have a paid, you don't have a character limit. Like, what do you want?
It's also, it's tragic also because I'm trying to do a series now, and if people are not interested in, like, following the actual series, they're more so interested, like, do more of this particular one-shot story. And it's like, that's not what you're supposed to be sold on. But, yeah.
What was your most popular product at Garden State Comic Fest?
If I were to guess, maybe Horizon Quest. I gotta look over the book to actually check. But probably Horizon Quest is usually our top seller.
Sonic City Witch was pretty popular too.
Yeah, a bunch of people also got Sonic City Witch. I guess because that's like the new comic I'm putting out there.
There was someone who was like, I was like, what kind of story seems most interesting or whatever, trying to, like, figure out what I should be pitching to them. And then she's like, well, obviously Horizon Quest, because I played D&D. And so I'm like talking to them about it, and she's like, oh, that sounds awesome. Anyway, I'm going to get Sonic City Witch. And I was like, what? Okay, sure.
I was so surprised. I mean, like, I also gave her the pitch for Sonic City Witch, but then she was like, oh, let me hear more about Horizon Quest, and then ultimately decided to go with Sonic City Witch. But yeah, usually this is the easiest to sell at our table because it's the one thing on the table that we both, like, really worked on together. And people really like the couple angle at the table where it's like, oh my god, that's so cute. She draws and he writes and they made comic together.
Yeah, but the problem is...
And I think people are also craving a high fantasy adventure story, which helps a lot.
The issue is you pay like a couple $100 for the table fee and you have a couple hours to sell, and there's like... And so you have a limited, like... and whenever you're talking to someone, you know, that's like, other people probably aren't going to come over to the table unless you're, like, really after it. Like, if someone's talking to Trisha, I could be like, hi, come by, you know. So, like, at the end of, like, this, like, 10-minute conversation, you know, someone when Horizon Quest, it's like $10 or whatever, and then, like, that 10-minute conversation, you can only, if the 5 hours, you can have, like, I don't know, I guess, like, actually quite a lot. You can have like 300 of those, the 310-minute conversations. But
and that's assuming that people are stopping by your table every time. Yeah. And it's hard just to get people over to the table to begin with.
So it's a lot easier when people have, like, bigger ticket items, like stuff that costs more. It's easier for them to get the table fee back.
Yeah. Anyway, we are a little bit over the hour, so we're gonna have to call it here for the Friday stream. But thank you everyone for checking out how Dannphan is doing and talking with us. We had some fun conversations. Happy 4th of July to everybody. Go back to your barbecues and go watch the fireworks at night.
Yeah.
Go have fun. Go have fun, guys. We'll see you next time.
I'm gonna be trying out sparklers for the first time.
Hell yeah!
I bought some sparklers. I've never.
I mean, it's the perfect holiday for it.
Yeah, thanks, Melee Games. You too.
Yeah, thanks for stopping by, everybody. We'll see you next time. Good night, everyone. Good night.